Ole Gunnar Solskjaer does not often bristle, but he did take slight exception to the inference that Sir Alex Ferguson had assumed the role of backseat driver at Manchester United. Solskjaer, who wants this post full-time after a sweeping start as caretaker, conceded that he keeps Ferguson informed on decisions, yet stopped the narrative there. "I've had him for 15 years. Obviously he's influenced me more in those 15 years than he's done here. There can be no doubt that Solskjaer's handling of Ferguson has been shrewd. The pair, who ate breakfast together when the Norwegian was a player, are close, and bringing his former boss inside more regularly can only have an uplifting effect. The mere presence of the 77-year-old, who has been undeterred by a brain hemorrhage last May, serves to galvanise. He was present at matches under Louis van Gaal and Jose Mourinho, as well as David Moyes, but remained largely in the shadows behind the scenes. Solskjaer, on the other hand, has embraced him, and that lends itself to the message that the principles United abide by are resurgent. They did briefly look like returning under Mourinho, as evidenced by the terrace ditty about the Portuguese's style of play, but his demeanour and player power eventually put paid to that. A re-emergence of the free-flowing, attacking football United fans grew so accustomed to with Ferguson running the club is back, to a degree at least, and for the minute, that is his immediate impact. Ferguson molded Solskjaer and United are watching the embodiment of that. Trips to Carrington. Ferguson has been down to the training ground a couple of times over the last month, meeting Solskjaer's coaching staff largely comprising of familiar faces. It was a scene not too dissimilar to the old Liverpool Boot Room at Anfield, backroom team sitting around chewing the fat, discussing the merits of various individuals and tactics. Ferguson offered encouragement, imploring them to follow through on short-term plans with gusto. Ferguson had steered clear of Carrington under Moyes and Van Gaal, keen not to overshadow the managers, but was invited in during Mourinho's first season on the job and travelled there to meet the players and have lunch. His trips under Solskjaer are likely to become more consistent, with the 44-year-old keen to introduce Ferguson into his old surroundings with added frequency. RossiFerguson was back at Carrington last week before the rousing victory away at Tottenham, having breakfast with Giuseppe Rossi, the former striker who is training with United to keep fit. "We were talking and talking, and he still remembers the transfer fee when I got sold," Rossi said. "Just think about it, it was 11 years ago, and in that 11-year span there have been hundreds of transfer fees, and he still remembered my transfer fee when I went to Villarreal." It's great to see him in high spirits, and great to see him just being about here on the football field. Visible at games, Ferguson's return to Old Trafford after his health scare came in September, the draw against Wolves, and the reception was emotional. He was alongside hospital staff and, after visiting for home matches, has now started traveling away too. He was at Wembley last Sunday, seen beaming up off his seat when United's players all ran towards David.A in celebration at full time. What has also been noticeable during Solskjaer's short reign in charge is the restoration of an old Ferguson rule, something imposed during the mini pre-season break in Dubai. Players must now travel to away fixtures with official club suits, as seen in the capital, to smarten up and promote a professional manner. Solskjaer is paying particular attention to the finer detail, borrowing some methods off his old manager. Ferguson's honours Premier League, 1992-93, 1993-94, 1995-96, 1996-97, 1998-99, 1999-2000, 2000-01, 2002-03, 2006-07, 2007-08, 2008-09, 2010-11, 2012-13 FA Cup, 1989-90, 1993-94, 1995-96, 1998-99, 2003-04 Football League Cup, 1991-92, 2005-06, 2008-09, 2009-10 FA Charity Community Shield, 1990, shared, 1993, 1994, 1996, 1997, 2003, 2007, 2008, 2010, 2011 UEFA Champions League, 1998-99, 2007-08 European Cup Winners' Cup, 1990-91 on the bus. Ferguson was invited to take his grandson on the team coach after the Tottenham game. There he met the players, shook a few hands, took a few photos. Ferguson enjoys having a quiet word with the players, giving reinforcement. It is this sort of inclusive atmosphere Solskjaer has moved quickly to generate. There is a subtlety to all this, of course. Yes, it is wonderful that Ferguson is becoming more involved, but the reasoning behind it could well have a profound effect on the squad, subconsciously or otherwise. Ferguson's words hold resonance, obviously, but his mere presence must serve as a reminder that this who you are playing for, this man is what it means to pull on a red shirt. Continue raising your standards for him. The 1999 bounce. A lot of Solskjaer's tenure has been about United's DNA, how they want to play, how they act. Simply, it is the attempted return to Ferguson's United by someone who knows him better than most. Solskjaer has actively endorsed that, constantly talking about the badge, how enjoyable it ought to be to play for the club. That Ferguson is more visible helps gently push that along. Fundamentally, what the last month has done is remember that feel-good factor, the best night of either man's career, the Champions League final in Barcelona, at the forefront as they are together again. Quite a few smart decisions have been taken already, but welcoming Ferguson has to be high up the list.